How we doing? All right, it's good. Let's go.
Hey, Will, can you talk about Jeff, just obviously the injuries he's had and missing so much time, and just how important it is to keep him healthy?
There's no question. I mean, if you look at our season last year, I knew when Jeff went down, it's going to be tough sledding. But I think what we're doing now offensively fits him better. There's no question that was part of the reason why I hired Kurt, and what they do with the quarterback, his development of quarterback at the position. I think Kurt's track record speaks for itself. But there's no question, Jeff's got to be smarter in some run situations. He got caught up against Louisiana 2 years ago and should have gotten down in that situation. Those situations I think he's learned from. I don't think that it's fair to judge him off last year off 2 games. I think that he was a guy that had an outstanding fall camp and was really progressing well. And really, you take 3 bad plays away from a Miami game, he played pretty well in the game. We didn't protect him very well. He had 10 explosive passes in the game, and you can't take away 3 plays. But I'm very pleased with how he has progressed and how he'll continue to progress.
Does it irritate you when you hear negative comments about him?
It's part of it, and Jeff understands that. Be careful what you ask for. You want to be the head coach, you want to be the quarterback at Florida, you put up with it. But Jeff's a determined young man. He's a great competitor. He's a leader. He's what you want.
Well, how confident are you that you guys are going to get it turned around?
I think we're going to have an outstanding year. I really do. I'm very confident in this football team and this staff. I think this is the most complete team we've had since I've been here from a standpoint of offense, defense, and special teams. And I think we've got some really good leaders. I think we have some really good players on our football team, and I think we have an outstanding staff.
Coach, what did you learn about Jeff's toughness and how he responded from his injury and rehab and whatnot?
Really nothing that I didn't already know. And I go back to some games where he's really taken a beating as far as some hits and some things. Sometimes he probably could have gotten rid of the ball earlier, but I mean, the guy's he's a very tough young man, and not going to hear him say a whole lot other than talk to his teammates positively about what we need to do to be successful. But that's what I like about Jeff. He's not an excuse guy. He goes out and does his job.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is Vernon the youngest guy you brought to media days as a head coach?
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
How indicative is that of what you expect his role to be this year?
Well, I think, obviously he's a very good player, but he came in as a freshman. He earned his opportunity. He handled his business the way he's supposed to handle it, the way, guys are supposed to go about their business. He's very professional in everything he does. In the classroom, he's got above a 3.0, but he's a very good example for the rest of our football team and how he handles himself. And he's a very good player. I thought he deserved it.
Was there anything he did last year that surprised you, given his youth?
I think you're always shocked when a guy comes into plays as well. The first 2 games, he got 2 interceptions. That's hard to do. So I think, he doesn't surprise me much anymore because I kind of expect him to do everything very well. So I don't get shocked anymore with him.
How many times, if any, have you met with Jeremy about expectations for this upcoming season?
Jeremy and I always have a year-end meeting, and we had that meeting at February or so, and moving forward, what we need to do to be successful.
Well, is it a wash that Jeff has got a new offensive coordinator versus being a 4th-year quarterback?
I believe so, just because of the amount of snaps. It's kind of like being in the NFL. The coaching changes that happen in the NFL from coordinators to head coaches. It happens very quickly. The older players acclimate themselves quicker than maybe a younger player. Right. Relating terms. This is what we used to call it. Okay, we call it this now. And there's been some give and take in there with Kurt and Jeff as far as the terminology things.
You talked about be careful what you wish for. I mean, being the quarterback at Florida, you're going to get a lot of plus and negative. Have you talked much with him about that?
We've, Jeff and I have been through a lot, and coming in here as a freshman, playing in his first game against FAU, being thrown in there against Alabama in our 5th game of the year, his true freshman year when Johnny went down, having an injury in that situation, battling back through that and having a kind of a competition between he and Jacoby through bowl practice and then into spring ball the next year and into fall camp. Having the year he had in 2012, and we knew we were going to have an elite defense. We knew we were going to be very good on special teams. We just told Jeff, let's manage the game. I don't know that we were great around Jeff. We needed to improve that, and I think we have. But we've been through a lot together, and I'm glad he's my quarterback.
You kind of joined at the hip, huh?
Well, I guess so, but I'm joining the hip with a bunch of them, I guess.
Well, all
there's
these
been
publications have you on the hot seat. Does that bother you? Is it?
Well, the hots, that's fine, but that you combat that by having a good football team and which we're going to have, and winning games, which we're going to do. And I got, again, a lot of confidence in this team.
Well, what's the learning curve with this offense? I mean, Gus Malzahn was just speaking earlier, and they obviously turned things around quickly with the spread.
Well, and I think in Gus's situation, he'd been at Auburn the year before, recruited a lot of these players and a lot of familiar terminology. So that's something that, Kurt and I have met a lot about. Going through spring, we got a lot more accomplished than I thought, a lot more. And so very pleased with that. And as we move into fall camp, let's make sure we can execute the things we need to execute to be successful.
How hard is it for like a young player
A young player
to
will
come in and
It's,
this offense?
when a young player, it doesn't matter what offense it is, what defense it is, it's like when you learn how to read. We all read at different levels. And it doesn't mean you're dumb if you don't read well early, It just means you got to work out a little bit more. And it's the young players that maybe some adapt very well, like Avern and Hargraves, and we've had a bunch of freshmen play for us, like DJ Humphreys, came in and played for us a bunch, started a couple games his true freshman year. So other guys, it takes a little longer, and it doesn't mean that they're not good enough. It just means sometimes it takes them a little longer for them to process the information at hand.
Coach, there's a lot of misinformation out there about the Joker Phillips situation. Can you clear that up at all? How disappointed you, what the fallout of that was?
Well, I think, right now, I'm more than anything focused on our team and program moving forward. And I appreciate Joker and his contributions to Florida. Really excited about Chris Leak. What a great opportunity for him. He's a graduate assistant for us for a year. A guy that has obviously got some leadership qualities, being an 06 national championship quarterback. He's very familiar with our players and our system. Kurt Roper runs the passing game, and that's been very evident from day one. But I'm excited about moving forward.
How do you think this staff gels philosophy-wise on offense, especially with new parts?
I think very well. Mike Summers has got a very vast background on things that he has been exposed to, and really pleased with that. And he and Kurt work very well together. Derek Lewis and Brian White have been outstanding. Those guys, they gel with anybody.
You said this suits Jeff. You really are excited to see Jeff in this offense. What about some of the other guys? Like
Well,
maybe
Andre
Colin
DeBose.
Taylor and-
Andre DeBose. I think this helps him in some situations. He's a guy that we've got to get the ball in his hand in space. That's going to be key for us. But, really, it's kind of the argument between spread and pro, okay? Our run game hasn't really changed. We're going to be a little bit one-back dominant, but we're still going to be able to build the two-back run game. Our protections haven't changed a whole lot. Our route concepts are simpler for the players and quicker for the players to learn. The difference is the quarterback's going to be in the shotgun. But we're also going to be able to take advantage of the quarterback's athleticism more being in the shotgun.
In hindsight, do you wish you'd done that sooner?
Well, I think, you can always sit at the end of whoever has the chalk last wins, when you're talking on the board there. But, again, I don't think last year was very fair. Brent Peace is a good football coach, and so is Tim Davis, okay? And I don't think it's last year's very easy to judge those guys over what happened because of all of the circumstances that were involved.
Injuries?
But I felt like we had, players had lost a little confidence in what we were doing, and that's why I had to make a change.
Well,
Guys, I want to bring some
Malzahn
other,
is saying that this
about
is
another
the-
minute or so,
it's the
you guys can go
future.
out and talk to our players, I want to bring some other folks in here about another minute.
He's rude sometimes.
But was it not saying the spread is just kind of the future? I mean, it's what a lot of guys.
Well,
do.
I think,
That's the way the game's going.
Edgar, I really believe because of this. It's no different. I talked to Jason Garrett, who's a good friend of mine, the head coach of the Cowboys, about evaluating a college quarterback to the Pro Bowl. They want guys to be able to come from under center. Very few colleges now are playing from under center, okay? It's no different than I watch high school tape and I'm evaluating a quarterback and I'm trying to see a guy come from under center. And Jason, made it in layman's terms for me, who's played the position and coached the position for a long, long time and very good at it, in my opinion. He said, Will, when you play action and turn your back to the coverage, things change. And sometimes guys process information differently. When they come back around, some guys are quicker to manufacture the information and some aren't. And from the gun, you've always got your eyes down the field, and your back's never to the secondary. So it made a lot of sense to me, and talking in terms of that. He goes, and that's a learning curve. You don't ever know till the bullets start flying. And so it's hard to, project that sometimes with a quarterback unless you've seen him do it. That's no different when I was coaching the Miami Dolphins. We didn't want to have to project guys and then explain to Mr. Huizenga why it didn't work out. Well, we hoped he could rush the passer, but we never saw him drop in coverage because he didn't play in a 3-4 defense.